Most people of color are too busy chasing the illusion of whiteness to even be aware of how they are living and what they are doing and how much of their power and happiness they are forfeiting by doing this. Some people of color are so damaged by the man-made construct of race that they are chasing whiteness, believing that if they were white and looked white, they would be happier. And by believing this, they create emotional stress, fear, anxiety, which all leads to unhappiness. Now, I am not saying if you are white and or look white, that you are not treated better in many places in our society, because you are. I heard a very funny comedian say, race doesn't matter anymore in the world as long as you look white. And there's a lot of truth in that in terms of being how you're treated out in the world. But remember, we live internally. It's not what the microaggressions and the racism is doing externally. It's how we're responding to it. That's what makes our lives the way that they are. It is our inner culture that is shaping our realities. When you truly love yourself, when we human beings truly love ourselves, we can think more clearly. We become more effective at combating racism and institutionalized racism or any other problem or challenge in our lives. When you stop worshiping and chasing whiteness, you will be free from the fear and anxiety of whiteness, and you will be much happier and powerful. Colorism causes so many dysfunctions in people of color that Willie Lynch has to be laughing in his grave. The divide and conquer approach in our world is still alive, kicking and working well in the minds of many people of color. And this is truly unfortunate. Many years ago, I conducted anger management groups in halfway houses for adult male prisoners who were entering back into society from prison. In these groups were men who committed crimes such as murder, drug trafficking, and every other kind of crime you can think of. However, for me, the most difficult ones to work with were the sex offenders, men who had harmed women and children. It was very difficult reading their case files and seeing how they had harmed and abused their fellow human beings. In almost every case file, these abusers had been abused themselves and started abusing others. This was the only life they knew. By no means am I saying this is an acceptable excuse. However, it further demonstrates the law of cause and effect at work here. I am saying this because a lot of today's colorism is happening from the law of cause and effect too. I mean, think about this. People of color who are light-skinned and have more European features, although they may have it easier at times living in a world still stuck in the illusion of race, a world that has been conditioned to believe whiteness is goodness and happiness, they still feel the sting and the abuse of racism and microaggressions. This could certainly be carried over to abusing other people with darker skin and non-European features, treating them as if they are somehow inferior, less intelligent, and less valuable and deserving than they are, just like some people from the white man-made race has treated them. Whether intentional or unintentional, conscious or unconsciously, rest assured the microaggressions that people of color commit on other people of color stem from the abuse that they have experienced, causing them to become the abuser themselves. This kind of cycle of abuse happens to people with dark skin too. People with non-European features and people with dark skin abuse people with lighter skin and European-looking features by prejudging them, having umbrage and anger against them before even knowing who they are, because of their lighter skin, because of what some person with lighter skin did to them in the past, or the microaggressions committed to them from other light-skinned people. So they give dirty looks and change their tone of voice or bully them or take out their pain from racism and discrimination from other people onto our light-skinned brothers and sisters. See how crazy the world is? There is nothing more sad and disturbing than seeing people of color causing each other more pain and suffering. Enough is enough. We have to transcend the stupidity and ignorance of colorism. The time is now. The self-shame and self-hate created by the man-made construct and hierarchy of race and colorism are so severe in the minds of some people of color that it has created severe dysfunctional beliefs and thinking, making some people very neurotic and even crazy. The reason I say this is people develop a worship of white people and self-shame and self-hate towards themselves and other people of color who look like them. And what could be crazier than being ashamed of who you are and worshiping other human beings who are genetically identical to you and everyone else in the world? This is crazy. You can see this kind of dysfunctional behavior played out behind closed doors from all the man-made races. You hear people saying ridiculous things about each other. We do this to hide our own self-shame and our own self-hate caused by colorism and the man-made hierarchy of race. People are running away from their heritage and their dark-skinned ancestors, putting each other down to mollify the pain that is inside of us, saying and thinking ridiculous things like, "I'm better than you,"